Hello, Open Door. We are here to talk a little bit about 2024 at Open Door Church. And so, as a staff, we just wanted to come together to share some of the highlights of the year, some of the stories of things that God has done, and then give you an opportunity to reflect back on the year, just to look at all that God has done in your life. And so, Kevin, from your perspective, what has God done, big picture, at Open Door Church in 2024?
It's just been amazing to see the amount of life change, and I think just to see so many people serving and getting involved in small groups. It's just been a very encouraging year from my perspective, and super fun year just serving with our staff here at the church. I think we've had a lot of fun doing it.
I think the biggest thing for me has been just to see the number of baptisms. And so in the last year, we saw 49 baptisms, which was amazing. That's more than every year previous at the church. But the coolest statistic to me was that we heard that a healthy, growing church has a 1 to 20 baptism ratio, meaning for every 20 people that attend the church, you would have one baptism. And that's like the sign of a healthy, growing church. And whenever we did the numbers this year, we are at a 1 to 10 ratio, meaning that we are baptizing double the amount of people as a typical healthy growing church, which to me was like kind of mind-blowing just to see and hear that statistic.
Man, some of the best highlights, of course, number one, Falls Creek. I loved Falls Creek. It was something that was super intimidating for me to go into, but man, once we got there, the amount of students that we got to take, the amount of fun that we had, the amount of people that made decisions, life change, it was just such an amazing trip. It was so fun, and man, I got to follow through with a good amount of students at baptism at the church too. That is definitely a big highlight. I've never baptized anybody before. And so being in student ministry for my first year and being able to do that with those kids after Falls Creek, man, I loved that, and I was so happy to be a part of that, for sure.
I think for the worship area, we've always had a great team, numbers-wise, and over the years we've started to grow in deeper relationships, friendships, and we've added people, but I think this year's focus has been awesome because we've added, with my relationship with you coming on this year, and then also just starting to know some of the kids, adding them, integrating them into the worship team. That's been a really great thing for our team. It's pushed everybody, it's made everybody better, it's helped make the students better and more comfortable in leading in amongst their peers, when they're leading. It helps them be more comfortable leading there, and they've done a great job just helping lead our church.
Seeing our church as a whole serving in our community and loving our neighbors has been so encouraging as a pastor, just to see when it comes to, hey, if we ask people to bring coats, we have more coats than we could ever imagine. If we ask people to bring candy for trunk or treat, we have all the candy we need. When we do serve the city, everybody shows up ready to go. And so I'm just so thankful to be a part of a church where people want to give, people want to contribute. It's just so encouraging. It's so impactful to see lives being changed because people want to make a difference in our community and at Open Door, but also in our community here in Enid.
So the children's ministry can be chaotic, but it is definitely like a controlled chaos. So the highlight, I feel, it's a lot with our volunteers. We not only over doubled the number of volunteers that we have when we went to 3 services, but the growth that I've seen in the volunteers and our younger volunteers, even like with the youth and some of the older elementary, like each Sunday morning, there's different tasks that we have people do, and just watching the older kids and youth step up and want to do those tasks, it's great.
So I think for me personally, some of the highlights are probably the 21 days of prayer and fasting that we started in January. I felt like that really helped me get my focus for the year. And also, I just heard lots of good feedback, and it was really encouraging and inspiring to hear from people about what they were learning, about them growing deeper in their faith. And so that really was a really cool way to start the year. And then we ended it with worship, a night of worship. And I feel like those nights of worship have really connected us to God, but also to each other.
I think the worship night, the most recent one that we did, was not because of the music, but just the prayer and the time that we had together as a church was good for the worship team.
Yeah.
And it was good for the people that were able to be there that night.
So
I think it helped us maybe take a step forward as a church, turn a corner, and just help people reflect on their year, and also just things that they can focus in on their own life to get better.
yeah.
Getting to go to kids camp for the first time. I can thank Cass for that. It was an opportunity for me to take on a new role and having to be the leader. And that's something that I definitely needed help with. And so it was awesome to get to step into that and just get to experience the excitement that all the kids had there. And it was just such an amazing opportunity to get to experience that. And one of the major highlights was 4 of our kiddos gave their lives to Christ. And it was incredible to have a part in that. And getting to come back and seeing them all be baptized was great.
Tell us about one of your favorite moments of camp.
Mopping up sewer water was fun.
Yeah, honestly,
That's fun.
camp as a whole week, I didn't realize, I've gone to 3 of them, but after this one, I didn't realize how quickly it all actually goes by. And so the sewer water, if your kids didn't tell you about that, sorry if you're hearing this for the first time, but we had sewer issues, and so water backed up as we were at camp, like day 1, and we had leaders that stepped up and were cleaning it. But man, it was a cool thing that happened, because it was day 1, my first camp, leading everything, and in that moment, it was like, this is about to be horrible. This is about to suck. This is gonna go, just everything's going wrong. But again, everybody stepped up, got it taken care of, and then like day 2, day 3, like you almost didn't even remember that happened, because everything was still going on. Everything was still so fun. The games we were playing, all of it. And so like knowing that at the beginning of it, it was trash because of that one thing, but then seeing how awesome everything still played out, and like not even remembering that even happened.
It's just crazy to me to think that 1 year ago, we started sharing vision about starting 3 services, adding a service, and there was concerns, there was some nervousness that came with all that. But to a year later, see that we've been doing this for 10 or 11 months now, and to see just the amount of people that have come to our church because we had some open seats, to see people's lives change, to see our staff and our volunteers step up, it's just blown my mind.
One of the big stories that kind of jumps out to me from the year was I was with Josh, and we were going to lunch one day, and we walked in the restaurant, and then this guy that we knew like flagged us down in the parking lot, and sure enough, this guy that was with him, he was like, hey, he goes to your church, and we hadn't met before, and so we were like, well, you guys want to sit together? Let's eat lunch together. And so we started talking, and sure enough, this guy, his name's Elijah, and he said, hey, is this crazy that I ran into you guys, because I need to talk to you because I want to get baptized. And he had been coming to church, but for so many weeks in a row, had just been nervous to come talk to someone about baptism. And so the fact that we ran into him at lunch, it was just this moment where you realize like God is working in ways that we don't even see sometimes.
That's good.
And it was just so cool to like be there in that moment. And then I got to talk with him about his story and hear how he had been saved. And then a week or so later, I got to baptize him.
I will say another thing that I love about being a part of this community is just getting to watch my daughter have so much fun in our kids ministry. just all the toddlers. They have so many little friends now, and it's just so exciting to get to see them building relationships at their age, and just knowing that they're going to have so many great friends to grow up with here.
Man, it's family. I don't want it to sound cliche in that way, man, but for the group as a whole, with small groups, with church, with music, man, everything about the church this year for me has been a highlight, because I have just felt like we have become such a solid group together. When it comes to the welcoming, to the lobby area, to everything, it just feels so good. And so just the highlight for me has been how close-knit I feel like we have become as a church, and I've loved that for sure.
All right, hey, thank you guys so much for all being willing to share on camera and just share a little bit about the year. And also wanted to say thank you to all of you who just make this church possible. Like, we wouldn't be where we are without all the people behind the scenes that serve and help and play a role at Open Door Church. And so thank you to all of you. We hope that you take some time today to also look back on the year and reflect on all that God has done in your life and in your experience through this church. And so on behalf of Open Door Church, we just want to wish you a Happy New Year. I hope you have a great 2025.
Cut.